know there's one missing.
Honda's not working.
That's my
Not
wife.
working. Okay,
All right.
I'll talk loud and do the best we can.
Just yell.
Okay. Anyway, first of all, I want to welcome you all today. I really thank you all for coming. I've been planning this for almost a year now. I first talked to Jeff about it in May of 2024. So we have been planning it for a long time.
Microphone.
This is what we had hoped for. I hoped there would still be Iris Bloom. We had to make sure we didn't coincide or conflict with any of the Irish shows, the regionals or nationals or anything like that. So that was how we picked today, May 10th. So thank you all for coming. First thing I would like to do, I would like to welcome my friend Guy Hoover, and he's going to give a short prayer for us. And it's not working.
It's not working?
Nope.
The what?
Testing.
You just have to do it loud.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for coming. This is a great time and a great place to remember Shirley, because I know everybody here has had some contact with her probably, and known her for quite a while. I've known her since 2012, and when she came to the Yosemite Iris Society, and she was, her and Riley were the starting members of our club, and our club is still flourishing today. So it's been a great time to have her there. So
A little bit louder.
pardon me?
A little bit
A little
louder.
bit louder. I know. I got to keep it going here. So at any rate, that's a little bit about Shirley and Riley when they came to our club. I just wanted to share about Shirley when she got sick. She came to me and she asked me to pray for her, pray with her. She was a believer in Jesus Christ in her life, and she and I know she's in heaven right now. Speaking to her and understanding where she came from, and you know, it's 100% death rate in this world. So I would pray that everybody would make a good decision in their life to know who the Lord Jesus is in their life. So my prayer is, Father God, we just give it to you. We thank you for bringing everybody together. We thank you for Shirley and Riley, and I thank you for the short time that we had Shirley. And we just pray that you continue to guide all of our lives to you and strengthen us and give us hope in you and give us your peace. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Guy. Okay, I have 3 or 4 things I want to read, and then I want to let some of you talk, and you can tell your experiences with Shirley, or when you first met Shirley, or how long you've known Shirley, or whatever you would like to talk about. First, there was a lady named Jane McNew who hybridized the Irish Rosalie Figge, and she apparently died younger than most people. And there was a poem in the Reblooming Recorder about Jane McNew, and parts of it I think are appropriate for Shirley. I'm going to read it now. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glint on snow. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning, hush. I am the swift, uplifting rush of quiet birds in circling flight. I am the soft star that shines at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry, I am not there, I did not die. So I thought that was very nice. And I'm also going to read her obituary, which I wrote. I know some of you probably already read it, some of you may not have, so it won't take too long. Shirley Sutherland was born in Merced, California on June 25, 1943. She grew up in Merced, McFarland, and Atwater, California. She was a cheerleader at Atwater High School, where she graduated in 1961. Her mother worked at nearby Castle Air Force Base. After high school, she married Lauren Bueller, and they settled in Modesto to raise a family. They had 3 children, Jackie, the oldest daughter, was named after Jackie Kennedy. Michael was named after the song Michael Rove, The Boat is Shore. And Michael's here today. Raise your hand, Michael.
Hey, Michael.
And Dawn, the youngest daughter, was named after Frankie Valli's hit song Dawn. As her children were growing up, Shirley attended Modesto Junior College and got her associate degree in nursing and became a registered nurse. She worked at several different hospitals in the Modesto area, ending up at Memorial Medical Center from 1993 till 1999. While she was a nurse, she adopted her cousin's daughter, Kristen, in 1981. She was named after the fictional character Kristen Shepherd on the TV show Dallas. She bought her first iris in the mid-1970s. The balloon was large and pretty, and she decided to get more. Her aunt shared her irises, but Shirley still wanted more. She wrote for a Cooley Iris Garden catalog, placed her first iris order that was over $700 back in the 80s when most irises were $1 and $2. And as they say, the rest is history. By the late 1980s, she had joined the American Iris Society. She became a life member in 1987. She operated her own commercial garden with a catalog known as the Iris Ladies Garden. During the 1990s, she became an AIS judge. At that time, she was attending the Fresno, Mount Diablo, and Sacramento Iris Societies. Then, the San Joaquin Iris Society was formed, and she became a charter member and the first secretary. In 1995, she attended her first American Iris Society convention in York, Pennsylvania. There, at the cocktail hour before the welcome banquet, she met Shirley Probst from St. Louis, Missouri, who had already attended 8 AIS conventions. He was her companion and guide for much of that convention. They saw each other several times the next few years, but in October 1999, she moved to Kirkwood, Missouri to be with Riley full-time in St. Louis. While in St. Louis, she worked for a temporary agency as a registered nurse. The agency assigned her to various hospitals, including Barnes Hospital, which any of you who've ever been to St. Louis is one of the biggest hospitals in the United States. It covers several blocks, and it's about 20 to 25 stories tall. And you could literally get lost there. She also worked at Normandy South and De Pere, St. Luke, St. Mary, and St. Anthony. They'd send her to a different hospital almost every day because she was filling in for people who were sick, on vacation, etc. Shirley and Riley were members of 6 local Iris societies in the St. Louis area. Greater St. Louis Iris Society, Kirkwood Iris Society, O'Fallon Iris Society, Jeffco Iris Society, Mineral Area Iris Society, and Mid-Illinois Iris Society. Shirley served as president of the Kirkwood Iris Society, and she was secretary of Region 18 at one time. In 2005, Greater St. Louis Iris Society hosted the AIS convention. Riley was the chairman, and Shirley was the registrar for the convention, which had 525 attendees. They both volunteered at the Alice Goodman Iris Garden and the Missouri Botanical Garden in St. Louis, Missouri. In 2006, she and Riley won Best in Show at 3 different Iris shows. We figured it would be difficult to top that, and in October 2006, we started moving back to Modesto. It took us many trips back and forth, and we finally completed our move in 2009. I actually made 15 trips between St. Louis and Modesto. Shirley didn't make that many, but I did. Once we were in California, we became members of 7 Iris clubs. Clara B. Reese Iris Society, James Gibson Iris Society, Monterey Bay Iris Society, Mount Diablo Iris Society, Sacramento Iris Society, Cindy B. Mitchell Iris Society, and Yosemite Iris Society. And I want to take just a break here for just a second. How many people here today are members of the Clara B. Reese Iris Society? Quite a few. Can somebody count, please? Let's see. 13, 14. Okay, about 14. Can somebody write that down? If somebody could write that down, I would appreciate it. James N. Gibson Iris Society. And over have 1, 2. Me kind of.
Yes, you're there.
Okay, so
You're
I did
there.
3. Okay, Monterey Bay Irish Society. 16.
Did you count, Jeff?
Did you count here?
No, 17. 18.
18.
Jeff.
Jeff.
19.
I got Jeff.
Oh, okay.
I was the first one he
I started with
counted.
him. Mount Diablo Irish Society. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
8.
Sacramento Irish Society. Anybody? Yeah, 1. Sidney B. Mitchell Irish Society. 5, it looks like. And Yosemite Irish Society. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, looks like. And out of the area Irish societies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay.
Over here.
6,
Yeah.
okay. Out of the area means
Not
out of
in
this area.
region
Okay.
15
Well,
or 14.
there's the national societies too.
Yeah,
Is that
I'm
an
not,
out in the area?
yeah, I'm not going to go through all
Okay.
that. there's AIS and 14 others, so that's too many. Okay, we went through the local ones. She served as president of the SIS, which is Sacramento, and co-president of Sidney B. Mitchell. She was a founding member of Yosemite Irish Society. She held many positions of responsibility, such as secretary, director, and hospitality chairperson in all of the clubs listed above. In Region 14, she held many positions of responsibility, including finance chair from 97 to 99, secretary from 2006 to 2007, director 2007 to 2009, Region 14 meeting chair 2010, Region 14 bulletin editor 2014 to 2018, current membership director 2021 to 2024. Her biggest job in Region 14 was chairwoman of the 2019 AIS convention, which she held that position from 2017 to 2019, and it was held in San Ramon, California, and had over 200 attendees. Shirley was a master AIS judge, and on October 14th, 2023, Shirley was presented with the prestigious Larry Galder Region 14 Lifetime Achievement Award. Through the years, Shirley and Riley were involved in everything Irish. This includes operating their fleur-de-lis Iris Garden in Modesto. She introduced One Iris, Opposites, which won both honorable mention in 2015 and Award of Merit in 2017. She still has seedlings being evaluated. She also had an iris named after her, Shirley Trio, by Jim McWhirter, and introduced in 1995. Shirley collected anything Irish. She collected Irish clothing, Irish t-shirts, Irish keepsakes, Irish objects for the kitchen and dining room. She wore and used these items also, so they didn't just sit on a bench somewhere. If there was something she wanted, she was a relentless bidder at Irish auctions. And I'm sure some of you know that.
Her hand never went down.
Sometimes she would buy something and bid the Irish up and then give it to someone else because they wanted it. The Irish hobby also included lots of travel. Shirley has attended 25 AIS conventions between her first in 1995 in York, Pennsylvania, and her last in 2019 in San Ramon, California. It was kind of prophetic that San Ramon ended up being her last convention because she was the chairwoman. They have attended the following cities for AIS conventions in between: 1996, Sacramento, California; 97, Dearborn, Michigan. I know some of you were at some of these conventions also. 1998, Denver, Colorado; 1999, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma; 2000, Dallas, Texas; 2001, York, Pennsylvania again; 2002, Memphis, Tennessee; 2003, Falls Church, Virginia; 2004, Fresno, California; 2005, St. Louis, Missouri; 2006, Portland, Oregon; 2007, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma; 2008, Austin, Texas. 2009, Kansas City, Missouri. 2010, Madison, Wisconsin. 2011, Victoria, British Columbia. 2012, Ontario, California. 2013, Dallas, Texas. 2014, Dallas, Texas again. 2015, Portland, Oregon. 2016, Newark, New Jersey. 2017, Des Moines, Iowa. 2018, New Orleans, Louisiana. 2019, San Ramon, California. In addition to AIS conventions, there have been many other IRIS trips to AIS fall board meetings, mini conventions, regional conventions, judges training, and garden visits. They included trips to Little Rock, Arkansas, Springfield, Illinois, Hutchinson, Kansas, Overland Park, Kansas, Wichita, Kansas, Boston, Massachusetts, Lansing, Michigan, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Cape Girardeau, Missouri, Columbia, Missouri, Jefferson City, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, Springfield, Missouri, St. Joseph, Missouri, Lincoln, Nebraska, Omaha, Nebraska, Reno, Nevada, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Portland, Oregon, Salem, Oregon, Jackson, Tennessee, Salt Lake City, Utah, Vancouver, Washington, and Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, to name quite a few, and I probably missed some. Not to mention all the IRIS trips they made in California, from San Diego in the south to Redding in the north, and all in between, because we were all over California. Shirley also attended 4 American Daffodil Society conventions in Cincinnati, Ohio, Louisville, Kentucky, Portland, Oregon, and St. Louis, Missouri. And in addition to all this horticultural traveling, Shirley took 2 Caribbean cruises with Riley, one to the Virgin Islands and one to Jamaica. They say join the Navy and see the world. In our case, it was join the AIS and see the world.
That's very clever.
Shirley died in her sleep at home on Thursday, May 16, 2024. Her health had been declining since December of 2021 when she had a heart attack and lung cancer was discovered. She was in and out of Memorial Hospital, where she used to work, several times during this period. A tribute to her life is planned for next year at Iris Bloom Time. Here we are. It will be held on a weekend in early May 2025 in Dry Creek Iris Garden in Union City, California, which Shirley helped start. Shirley is survived by her husband, Riley Probst, 3 daughters, Jackie Basaldua, Don Bueller Heinrichs, and Kristen Wagner, 1 son, Mike Bueller, and 6 grandchildren, Taylor Bueller Scott, Andrew Basaldua, Jacob Bueller, Maddie Bueller, Michael Wagner, and Matthew Wagner. She will also be missed by many Irish friends, that's you people here today, both local and across the country. And she will also be missed by her pet dogs and cats. Okay, we're almost done with the reading things. We've got a couple more here.
Riley, you didn't name all the animals.
I'm not sure I could. There was 2 dogs, but the cats are a pretty high number. The cats are such a high number, some of them don't even have names.
Just numbers.
Yeah, you know, the fuzzy blonde
Number
one.
90.
The short-haired black one. Those kind of
They
numbers.
loved your garden.
They did love the garden, and it's their home. They're still there. I still go through about 40 pounds of cat food per week. Wow. Yeah. There's about 20 cats. About 10 of them are feral and they stay outside and you never see them. The other 10 either live in the house or they go in and out through the doggy door. We asked people to send in remembrances of Shirley, particularly for people who could not be here today. This one is from Dan Williams, our current RVP for Region 14. And he had planned on being here today, and then his wife had some kind of surgery either yesterday or today, minor surgery, and he couldn't be here. But I'll read to you what he had to say. One of the first local IRIS events I attended was the Spring Regional held in Sacramento in 2018, I think, when we shared our venue with a convention of cloggers. Does anybody remember that? I do remember it.
Yeah.
I only knew a few people present, and I made my first visit to Horton's Garden to view the guest irises. I didn't know what guest irises were, and just reveled in the iris diversity I saw at Horton's. At the end of the regional, we went back to Horton's to load potted irises into a van. Shirley and Riley must have fitted 100 or more pots into their van. I had no idea why, and I don't even remember it. And I remember thinking that these two people must be very important to the region because of their level of service. I don't even remember, but I guess we did something. Over the years, of course, I saw the Probst at pretty much every regional event I attended. I often sat with Shirley cleaning rhizomes at regional digs, where I would hear about the history of the region, of different Irish cultivars, and tales of her life experience. These are the times I remember and treasure about Shirley. When I think of her, I see us with others sitting under some easy up or crowding ourselves under whatever limited shade was available to us to avoid the blistering July-August sun, trimming leaves and roots of rhizomes, brushing off the excess dirt from the roots, and labeling rhizome after rhizome, accompanied by the conversation we're all familiar with at such times. At the time, it doesn't seem like such a big deal, but as time passes, you begin to realize how important those times are and how much they mean to you. They make us who we are, what we know, and God help us, how we're remembered by those we care about. I remember Shirley, I care about her, and I miss her. And that's from Dan Williams. And the RVP before Dan Williams is Jean Richter. No, two before. Carolyn was before. She was before Carolyn, that's what I mean. And she sent one in here too. Since I will not be able to attend in person, and it's uncertain at this time if an online option will happen, here is a message from me to be read if there isn't a Zoom option. I was honored to call Shirley my friend for many years. She was one of the most generous and kind-hearted persons I have known. She was always willing to help, be it with an Irish club activity, rescuing an animal, teaching people about irises, sharing medical knowledge, and no doubt many other activities. Many other activities I knew nothing of. If there was something that needed to be done, Shirley would step up and do it. Often things that no one else was willing to do. I can think a couple of those. One was editor of the bulletin, and one was chairperson for the 2019 convention. I have benefited from her generosity and can-do spirit on many occasions, both in the world of irises and animal rescue. Shirley rescued a tiny kitten with serious health issues, a little kitty, and bottle-fed her and kept her going until she was old enough to receive life-saving surgery. We adopted little kitty, and she graced our lives with her tremendous presence for 8 years. Shirley was a stalwart member of Region 14 of the American Irish Society, and she and her husband were members of many different Irish clubs within Region 14, holding many officer positions over the years. Shirley was not afraid to speak truth to power, which sometimes led to repercussions. She bore those with fortitude, and her candor helped every organization she was involved with. I will miss Shirley terribly. It's hard to imagine being at an Irish group without her. I'm sorry I cannot join you in person today and send my condolences and best wishes to Riley and Shirley's family. Jean Richter. Okay, now it's everybody else's turn. Who would like to speak? Come on, Carolyn. Come on up.
First off, I want to second everything Jean Richter said. Shirley had the biggest heart I know. Shirley would take on any job, and especially if nobody else was willing to. Absolutely. Shirley's motto seemed to be, let's get it done. And if she couldn't finish it all, she'd have Riley help her.
Hold her, Riley.
And when Riley mentioned Shirley's big heart, at one of these conventions, I was the fundraiser at that time. I was auctioning something off. Shirley was bidding against me over and over and over. Shirley won, and then she gifted me with what we were bidding on. I mean, that's just how she was. And she was willing to rescue, as Riley said, any animal in need or any project in need. And yes, she will be missed. She is missed.
John Pesick. I've known Shirley and Riley for just over 30 years. And I recall Shirley being very tenacious, like a bulldog on different committees, but when I was regional vice president, she always offered suggestions. And if I kind of put it to a side, she'd keep coming.
She'd remind you.
Yes, she did, very strongly. And but I really miss her, and I'm sure we all do. And may God rest her soul.
Thank you, John. Who else? Carolyn?
I'm the immediate past RVP, Carolyn Hoover, and I met Shirley when she first came to the Fresno meeting. I was president of the Fresno Iris Society about 2005, 2006. Anyway, Shirley was always the planner and an encourager. I always look up to Shirley being somebody who is always, like we've all said, willing to take the job on, willing to do the job that nobody wants to do, and encourage clubs to have a spring regional and a fall regional, and also to become judges. Our little Yosemite club that she started with Riley was just about 6 of us in 2011. She put the bylaws together, got the IRS, put it all together, she and Riley, and so Yosemite came out of the ashes of Fresno because we wanted to have a club near our house. So in 2011, she helped charter and was very instrumental in getting Yosemite Iris Society started. And we're about 40 people strong right now, and we've been involved in three spring regionals and 1 fall regional in the last 10 years. And then John Pesick probably remembers that he probably fell over on a hot spring regional day that I raised my hand and said, I'll do the spring regional. We're a brand new club, right? He says, we'll give you $400, we'll do it. I said, I'll take the 400 and I'll do it, So I volunteered, and Shirley was right there telling me that I could do this, right? And that she would help me, of course she did, and Riley did. And it was a beautiful regional in 2015. So anyway, she was always an encourager, and in our little club, we started out, I counted the other day, we had 8 judges in the little club, so at one time, because she kept giving everybody a judge's book, and saying, I will buy you the book, here's the book, I'll give it to you. Very generous to give us a book, and now go take your lessons. Oh, by the way, being a judge is free, she's saying, so it doesn't cost anything. So she signed up a lot of people in our club to be judges, and we all know we need new judges because we're all getting older, so we need new judges. And so anyway, but Shirley was an encourager and high energy, and just loved to help out wherever she could.
Yep, thank you, Carolyn. I'd like to say one other thing about Yosemite. For a small club, it has more hybridizers in it than I've ever seen.
That's right.
It has Rick Tasco, award-winning hybridizers. It has Rick Tasco, it has Bill Tyson, it has Doug Kantorowski, and it has me. And we have all won AIS awards with our IRS system. So for a small club to have 4 hybridizers like that, it's kind of amazing.
Very
Don't
blessed.
forget Shirley, too.
And Shirley Trio.
5.
Because she had run HM and AM with opposites.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. Who else would like to speak?
I have something to remember.
Okay, Carolyn.
We're kind of newbies compared to some of you guys. But I first met Shirley, and I was sitting right beside her at a dig at Blue Haven Iris Garden.
Bluebird Haven.
Bluebird Haven. And she and I were, trimming and labeling and trimming and labeling. And there wasn't one bit of silence.
And you didn't have to say anything.
That's right. And we're both both nurses, so we got to compare stories of nursing too. And at the end of the day, we're getting kind of tired, and you know the conversation is still flowing. And all of a sudden, there was this little tiny pile of rhizomes, and we're like, "Uh-oh, what's that one?" And she said, "Gosh, I don't remember." And I didn't remember. And she said, "Take it home, let it grow, send me a picture, and I bet you I can identify it." And it was poetry in bloom.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I can tell you something brief.
Okay, Linda.
Be brief. What year did you leave James M. Gibson as president?
Oh, I don't
Do you
know.
remember? Well,
2016 maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
anyway,
Speak
I'm
a little
president.
louder, too.
I'm president of James M. Gibson Irish Society now, and back when Riley was president of James M. Gibson Irish Society, I didn't know anybody. All I knew was I lived near Sutton's and I had some Irish, and I didn't know anything about the American Irish Society, nothing. And I thought, well, I'm going to find out if there's a group of people. So I got online, tried to find something. And what I ended up finding was the telephone number for Shirley and Riley. And I don't even know how it was listed or whatever, but I phoned the number and Shirley answered the phone. And about 30 minutes later, she had me coming to a meeting that was in Tulare at the time. And I went. You were president at the time. And I stayed and have been a member since then. And I always look back and know that she's been a good friend of mine, and I would never have known or joined a club if I hadn't talked to her that day, if she hadn't answered the phone.
How great that is.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
I've never forgotten that.
Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome.
That reminds me of, I want to say one other thing reminded me of. One of Shirley's habits that she did was whenever she would find anybody that was interested in judges training, she would buy their judges training manual and give it to them if they would study and learn to become a judge. Next.
Well, I was on the bus in 1995 touring the Pennsylvania Gardens, including Sterling Interests.
Yep.
And Riley boarded the bus. And I was sitting next to Shirley with James McWhorter. And I think Rick was probably nearby, Rick Ernst from Cooley's Garden. And I'll be a son of a gun. Shirley asked Jim about Riley. Riley had lost his first spouse, his wife, and Shirley looked at Riley as he boarded the bus and said, "Who is that?
Who is that guy?
And I'll be a son of a gun. We explained a little bit about Riley. Jim knew Riley for a number of years. And Shirley said, "I'm going to marry that person." That was it. This is not a tall tale. And it sounds like craziness.
Sounds like a tall bearded tale.
Absolutely. But a year before that, Sterling Interest was the regional speaker here. I think it was a year before his Gardens tour, and he was brought out for one of our regional treks, and we were watching his slide presentation. The carousel was going around. Back then, people used carousels, of course.
Slides.
Kodak slides and carousels, and I'm sitting and I hear, "Move your fat ass," and I turn around, and that's around when I met Shirley. It was Shirley Trio, and maybe I was a pound or two heavier, but I certainly wasn't blocking her view. And all I can tell you is that Jim was sick, and Shirley was a nurse, but she was also an irisarian. So she combined her visiting nurse job that she had at the time, and would visit Stockton Iris Gardens to help take care of Jim. And of course, she was there to help me run this garden. She did it for a number of reasons. She did it for her love of iris, but she also did it in order to get a buck or two. And it really, I mean, you don't want me as your employer, trust me. It's not very generous, but she did it in order, those years were tough for her, but she did it in order to keep her house and the garden. She put every penny that she earned into not so much iris bidding, but into paying the mortgage as best as she could. Later, Riley helped enormously with respect to the household finances. But she preserved it. She kept that garden, and against a lot of odds. She those were interesting years. After Jim died in 1995, I was the beneficiary of late night calls. Those phone calls that never ended with Shirley. You had to have a couple of hours. If it was 8 or 9 o'clock, you were going to 11 o'clock, and I had to drive to San Francisco from Stockton in order to earn a weekly envelope. But she kept my sanity at a time when, during a tough time. And that voice is the voice that I worry about, Riley, that you don't hear now.
Yep, that's true.
Tell people who you are.
Oh, well, I don't know who I am. I mean, I got involved in irises through a relationship that started in 1990. And for a decade, certainly invested a lot of time and energy in the pursuit that has brought us all here, and what we all have in common. But what we have in common, flowers, of course, are important, but people first. And this is an old-fashioned pursuit, right? People get together on Zoom. They don't have monthly meetings of stamp or coin collections. And here we are trying to keep these societies going because ultimately it's that human connection. And so, all right, if they don't continue it after we're all gone, it's their loss. But we were able to share our time with really Shirley. And she was amazingly energetic. She collected all things iris. So one night, New Year's Eve, Shirley tells me, Abe, they have a new bench at Walmart. It has an iris on it. An iris on a bench? What are you talking about, Shirley? And it costs X amount of dollars. It wasn't too expensive back then. Everything, today benches, these things cost a fortune. But back then, relatively inexpensive, and it was a Walmart product. So I said, Shirley, really? Yeah, I think they're selling it now. So she drove from Modesto to Stockton, where there was a 24-hour Walmart, and we spent New Year's Eve at Walmart, of all places. And I still remember, attention Walmart shoppers, it is now New Year's Eve. And I thought, you know what? There isn't a better place to be than where I was, because I was with Shirley Trio at midnight at Walmart, of all places. I heard maybe you'll have a bench for Shirley, and I kind of, that bench.
This is it.
And how appropriate is that? If you ever go to Paramount Studios, there's a bench there. It's the bench from the Forrest Gump movie. And once in a while, Tom Hanks will sit on that bench to this day and just talk to people as they come by. And they're astounded by this. And, he's going on telling his tale on that bench. And I could just imagine sitting on that bench, Riley, and having Shirley Trio just talking and talking and talking. And then somebody leaves and another person comes, and then there's Shirley going on again about whatever she would happen to go on about. And it would be delightful, and if it took an hour or two, it would be time well spent.
It did.
Anyhow, I have some regrets, mostly of, I've gotten back into irises now as I view retirement coming up, but I regretted for 2.5 decades not keeping in touch with Shirley until the very end. Riley was good enough to call, and I was able to visit.
You were good enough to visit.
You were good enough to call. and she was able to emerge. She was as sick can be. And it was close to the end. But she came to the table. We reminisced a little bit.
She was happy to see you.
Yeah, we gossiped about all of you. But I also told her, though, that, listen, I don't mean to bring this into it, but I've had a 20-year relationship with somebody, and we were able to get married. And when I told her that, she had the biggest smile of joy on her face. And regardless of your feelings on those issues or not, but the closeness of my relationship being celebrated by somebody I had not seen was very special. And yeah, we all have stories like that about Shirley. Kristen, Mike, the other kids, Aunt Joyce. So
Yes.
Somebody mentioned the aunt.
She was mentioned in the obituary.
Yeah, you mentioned the aunt.
Yeah.
If you thought Shirley was somebody who could keep you on that bench for a few hours, Joyce was the champion. And when the two of them got together, it wasn't even worth trying to get a word in.
Nope, it wasn't.
It was not. They're very, very special. Thank you, Riley, for having this. And it really is special.
Thank you for coming, Abe. Who else? Anybody else want to talk? Linda.
Hi, I'm Linda Woods with MDIS. I'm originally from Kansas, and my mom started growing irises when I was in college, and I didn't get to irises until I moved out here. But I go back, and that's when Riley was back there in Missouri, and she knew of Riley, and she told me one time there's this whirlwind of energy named Shirley. I'm afraid she's going to take Riley away from us all. And she did.
Yeah.
But that was lucky for us, because now we got to spend time with Riley and Shirley. Shirley, generous, has come up many times. Generous in her knowledge, generous in her time, generous with her irises. Also, the pets have come up a lot. I went to one of the nationals, I think it was, and she actually bought a litter of kittens and smuggled them into the hotel.
She did.
And they were young and needed help.
Yep.
And so she's like, can you be my decoy mom?
I think I remember.
So yeah, she was an amazing woman, and it was my pleasure to know her, and Riley too. And they're a wonderful, wonderful part of my life.
Thank you,
Riley,
Linda.
you have to put the do not disturb sign on.
Yeah.
We did,
You
yes,
did.
we did, yeah.
Yeah.
Riley,
Yes.
many more people have arrived since you did that count. You may want to redo the count of who's here from who.
Okay.
Let me talk first.
Yeah, sure, Jeff.
So I met Shirley in 2013 at the Benicia Peddlers Fair, and I'd taken classes at DVC for horticulture, and Dave and Dixie, those of you in Mount Diablo, were taking classes there, and they said, I was at the booth, and I was buying irises, and they're like, you work at a garden now, right? And I said, yeah. He says, well, they want to have a convention here. At that time, it was supposed to be 2018, and so there's someone who's going to be in charge of the convention that wants, if you have room to plant irises, and so he says, she's here right now, so you can talk to her. And so we talked and talked and talked. 45 minutes later, she finally said to him, where's your garden? And so that's how I met Shirley. And it must have been, I don't know, 6 months. I hadn't heard anything, and because it was 2013, the convention was 5 years away, and in the meantime, it got pushed to 2019, so it was going to be the 99th anniversary. And I know they were working with Filoli, they were working with the house in Oakland, the Dunsmuir House, about them being one of the tour places. And so I believe Riley, Shirley, I think John and Barbara came here to see the garden and to see, there was a space for it. And we were on the other side of that fence, and it's like, well, there's that little hill over there we could do it on. Shirley's like, well, that's kind of steep. Some of these people are pretty old and they can't walk up this hill and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, we have the other side of the fence, which is this area, which is all, weeds. It's only half weeds now. She says, yeah, this could work. You can hear her talking and thinking, and then another 6 months goes by. Didn't hear anything, and then she was still working with Filoli, and Filoli didn't want to plant it the way AIS would like to have them in a row, so that you can walk down the rows and judge them. They wanted them in mass, so you couldn't get in there to see them. And really, nope, it's got to be like this. Pathway's got to be 6 feet wide. The beds have to be 4 feet wide. Alphabetical order, all these things. So that's how Filoli fell through. So we are the runner-up to Filoli. And so when it came time to plant in 2017, Riley was the guest iris chair, and so he'd been receiving these irises, and probably in July and August and September, and so these irises have been waiting in bags for a few months. And I know Mary and Jan were here, Linda was here, and it was October 1st was the day we were going to plant. And but I started preparing in July. After we mowed, and then we plowed, and then I watered and rototilled and made beds and designed the layered beds, and October 1st, Shirley comes walking in, and she's got a mantis tiller. I said, what's that for? We gotta make the beds. I'm like, Shirley, I've been making them for 4 months. Where you been? Okay. And then we had to lay them all out in alphabetical order by the guy's last name. But this convention had a special event, and that it was a seedling competition for Centennial Celebration, which would have been the 100th anniversary next year in New Jersey. And